So, hey guys, I'm back and this is the last video, or this should be the last video of this tutorial course, however you want to call it. Now, we can edit, we can add, and we can update of course, but we cannot delete right now. So let's remove this so we can see we can edit. Let's add a new image. I found this one, I like that one, so let's try that. Okay, so you can see we can edit this. It's working and everything else is fine. But once we delete, I will show you, we're going to delete this one and we will see what is going on. Remember that we have this current page, a variable called current page, that is storing the current number that is sending, or that is being sent to the API in order to retrieve the next items in the list or in the collection. But this will raise an error, and I will show you of course how to fix it. We will fix it, but think for a second that since we are storing this and we are not cleaning this, if we delete the image, we're going to remain in this place where we are going to look for 3, 4, 5, 6 that are not there, because we will have 3 only in the collection. So we will have one page that is receiving nothing. So let's actually implement the delete, because you can see that we can edit and down here we have the delete. So let's implement that and see the error with our own eyes so we can understand what the hell is going on. So we need to go to post service, go all the way down to line 86 around there, and we can see that we have our delete that is empty. Okay, so let's add constant form data equals to new form data. So we need to do this every time we want to send form data, because that is the thing Multer is accepting. So form data dot append, we append the ID because we need to send this as form data, and we need to pass the ID because the API is waiting for that. Okay, so constant options equals method. So the method we're going to use is the delete method. Sorry if you can hear a little dog, a puppy crying. It's the neighbor's puppy. So body from data. Now we just make the fetch and we go to HTTP. HTTP localhost 4000. I always forget the port. 4000 and API delete. So we append the post ID to this and we append the options so the API knows what it needs to do and which route it needs to go. Okay, because it's waiting for the delete. Now let's go to post, and we have a function here called delete post that is going to be it's going to work once we click this delete post button. So let's add, let me just go there, and this should be pretty simple. So just give me a second. Okay, forgot that I wasn't there. Okay, so post service, we need to get our service that we have already imported. Delete, we're going to use props that match that params that ID, the ID from the URL, that then Let's break this into the next line. We're going to receive a response from the API, and this is what we are going to do inside this callback. We set the redirect to true, and we can catch any error. That's the only thing we're going to do there. It's not response, it's error. So we're going to just console the error just to show that. You can do whatever you want with that error. So now we can console also the response. Now, in this case, you are only going to delete and redirect. So we're going to redirect to the main page. So let's go and let's try that. I think this should work because we're going to redirect to the main page, but this is not something that we would like to do. So delete. Let's delete this one. Okay, we have an error, so let's go to the console and see what that is. Okay, that doesn't seem, it doesn't seem that it worked. So let's try again. Delete post. Okay, an API error. So I forgot to add the slash there, so it actually sends using the correct syntax. So edit, delete post, and we delete and we go to the first page, but we don't receive anything. Why? Well, we are not going to the first page. We're redirecting to the main page, but remember that once we land here, we're going to make the request using the current page if we have that. So if I go and delete this one, so let me just select that one and delete and refresh, we're going to get the correct information for this page, and you can see that we remove the number 2 here because we don't have now more than 3 inside our collection, more than 3 documents. Now we need to fix that error, so I should actually use this. Okay, so everything is working as intended, but this is a logical error. I explained before in our tutorial that there are several kind of errors that you need to be aware of. So let's say fourth. There's always a dog barking and crying there. So for post, sorry about that if you can hear that. If not, well, just don't mind that. So let's say I can type whatever I want, right? Choose file. Let's choose this one again. Repost. Okay, yeah, I need a length. Lorem ipsum. I've been checking some other things, and this is the next day from where I recorded the last part of the video. So sorry if I it seems like I'm using this as it was the first time, but I just forget I was doing some Angular state management. So yeah, now we can go, we received information, everything is working fine. So what we need to do now is to fix that error, because right now you can see that we have the current page again, and we need to check if the response contains the information we need. Okay, so let me go into my main.js. So let's see. Okay, Just give me a second, I'm checking. And yes, this is the one. Okay, so let's recap this. Okay, if the local storage get item current page exists, which it does, then we're going to use that local storage item, current item, in order to send the number of pages on which we are, okay, for us to receive the next values, the next documents inside the collection that are referenced in that page. So we loop to them, pass them to a variable, so we can just to get them inside there, and we set the number of pages again. We return those posts, and inside the subscription we set the post to those. But once we delete this, this is going to return nothing, because at this point, or at that point in time, the page number 2 doesn't have any, it doesn't even exist. Okay, it's looking for 4, 5, and 6 inside our collection, because you can see this is the 4. So if I go to 1, this is 1. Sorry, I clicked that. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now we need to, actually, I'm going to remove all this. So just do that. Okay, this one is there, nice. I don't know why this one is all the way there. So we're going to reveal this, because I was going to give you this task, but since it's kinda tricky, I decided to do it myself. So that's why I didn't implement that when we first made the main.js. So let's say again, let post. So I suggest you to just clean all inside this if statement, and this one is okay because this one is going to use a null, so this is for the first page, and this is when we have the current page, so we need to check that. Now let posts is going to be again an empty array, and inside, well, not inside, well, let's say post service. Inside this if, we're going to continue with post service, but let's say we have post subscription is going to be equals to post service. We need to keep an eye on the subscription. We use posts, that is the observable that is going to be created. We pass local storage that current, no, that get item current page, and from there we use the pipe, and inside the pipe we're going to use the map operator. For the response, we pass the response inside this map, so we're going to loop through each part inside this response, and we're going to check. So we're going to check the response data, okay? We're going to check if the response data has a length, okay? And if that is 0, okay, if the length of the response data, that remember that it returns the posts, so if that is 0, then we're going to say, let's see, just to name this variable, local storage that get item. So we call current page because we haven't saved that with a capital P. We're going to parse, just to have this as a number. We're going to parse this, so we need to parse C. Now we go to local storage and remove actually that item we already have it stored inside this C local variable, so we can actually delete it and we keep the value of the current page inside this C. I just call it C, maybe for current, I think, so you can call it however you want. Now, after this, we need to fetch. So we're going to make the fetch request. Why? Because we received nothing inside this, okay? So we need to handle a way, or we need to find a way on which we can return something and go back to have some content inside our application. So API plus C, okay, so let's add this inside this its own enclosing. So C minus 1, that we're going to go back to the previous page. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I was going to tell you that you needed to do this. Okay, I was going to give you some hints, but since it turned to be more tricky than I thought, I decided just to do it. So response JSON, we need to get the JSON from the response. Now we use then and call the post. So where we are right now, we are going to fetch the previous page information. Okay, so if this was the number 4 that was deleted, we need to call the page before it. So we receive 1, 2, and 3. This is what is going to happen in this application. So we get the response from that fetch, and this post inside line 38 contains the numbers or the documents 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Inside this, we're going to do something. We can console that log those posts so we can see, and we can say local storage that set item current page. So we set again the current page so we can stay on where we are, and it's not like this. We need to do this and C minus 1 because this is the previous page. Now we say post data, because this post now is the response from the fetch, so we need to call those, and is posts plural, not singular, post data, that for each we need to loop through those, and we're going to receive a post. Let's call it underscore post, and from there we're going to push to this underscore post array that we have in line 28. So it's not like that, it's push, it's actual push. Okay, so we're going to push each post. Now we go here outside in line 44. We can console those posts so we can see, or let's leave it like that, and we can set posts to posts, and yes, so this is the let me see, this is the if statement. So we need to check an else here, meaning that we don't have, or it wasn't the last item inside that array of 3 documents. So we just say response data that for each post underscore posts dot push post. Now we set posts to be underscore posts again. So this means that we have more than 0 inside our response data. So we loop to those and we set to the post inside our state to be the remaining posts there. So right now we need to go to this line, yes, and to set the total pages. Again, we can use the same thing and return posts. So this is actually the same thing we had. Okay, set total pages to the pages that we receive, and we append one to those because remember that is an array as is 0 index, and we return those posts that is the array. And after this, that we can subscribe. So this is actually the pipe. You can see that it selects this one. This is actually a pipe, so we need to subscribe in order to get, or for this to actually do what we are telling. We say posts, and okay, let's just subscribe to that, and this is going to work. This should work. So now if I go to click this one and edit, delete, and you can see we return there. And if I refresh, since this is not going to happen unless we have an empty array, so let's actually go to add a new item. Do I have that? Nope. Let's copy this, paste it, and let's say whatever, this is going to be just for testing. So I have another one here, repost. We need to add another one. Again, we can say whatever we want here, just for testing this one that is okay. So we have this, and if we delete one of these, let's delete this one again. Okay, edit panel, delete, and you can see we remain there because we still have one. The response was not 0, and it's going to work. Okay, so we can delete this one, and we're going to be sent into kind of the first page. Remember that we are not using anything inside the URL. So, and once we delete this, we can check if the number of pages is 0, and we just show you know, something. So, and even though it's going to have a empty, so it shouldn't have any problem. The application shouldn't break having this as empty. So yes, I think that's it. That should be it for this application. I hope you liked it. And okay, 24 minutes. If you have any doubt or whatever you want to say, just comment. And I forgot. Let me just explain this, because I was going to tell you that you actually can get, this is just I will leave this for you to have. So remember that this is the this is JavaScript. So once we have this use effect, we can check once the document or the component is mounted, we can actually access the DOM. So we can check the load event for the window, and we can use query selector in order to get these posts. Let me just show you really fast. We click there, we can see that we have this div class post, and we have this div class post, and you can see how many children this has, or this has. So you can see it has 3 class post children, and well, I don't have the other one, but you can see, in case you want to do something with the count of this, you can see how many you got left and do something. Okay, you can get the number of these using child nodes that length. So in this case, since we have 3, it's going to display 3 as the result of this inside this console log in line 19. So you can check if the current length is 0, and I was going to do this, but I realized that it wasn't going to work, so I decided to actually research a little more and found out that the real problem was the request. So we just check the request. If it has something, we just throw that into the state inside these posts, and if it doesn't have, then we make the call for the last page we receive, and you can check here if the page is, if this is not equal to 0, and do whatever, because once you delete the first one, it could break, but that is up to you. So how you could do that is yeah, do something inside here and say let underscore sum or sub from for subtract equals a c minus 1. Okay, and check if sub underscore sub is not equals to 0, and you do the fetch just like that. Okay, so that should work. And if that is 0, just show a div or something that says, hey dude, you don't have any posts, why don't you actually use the application and add some posts. So that's it for this. I hope you liked it. Close that. Okay, and if you have any doubt, just let me know, and see you in the next one.